A few years back, I was told that there's a gate to hell, to Satan's house, in the river between Port Harcourt and Okrika. And I decided to go to see Satan. That's a gate. That's where demons pass through to enter the communities. At Bethel, that's where Jacob saw angels ascending and descending. Gates. When God met Gideon, he said, build me an altar and I will enter your territory and I will protect and defend you. Where you have many altars, many shrines, you have many demonic activities. The altar is a landing airport of spirits. If there's no altar, there'll be no strong spiritual activity. And so the wicked raise altars for the demonic spirits they want to bring in to work with them. And if that altar is destroyed, the power of the spirits is gone. A few years back, I was told that there's a gate to hell, to Satan's house, in the river between Port Harcourt and Okrika. And I decided to go to see Satan. And I gave them my car to drive it from the roadside to Okrika. I decided to take a boat to go to see Satan. So I went to the waterfront and asked, is there anybody who goes to church here who is a Christian? That's the boat I want to use, because I know that that's the only one who will agree with me. They say, there's an Assemblies of God churchman here. I said, come, I want to hire your boat. How much? He told me. I gave him the money. I said, you are taking me to Okrika? He said, yes, sir. So as soon as we took off and got into the sea, I said, there's a place they say is Satan's gate to his house. He said, that's what they are told. I said, that's where I'm going. He looked at me. He said, sir, nobody goes there. I said, you see today, me, that's where I'm going. He said, sir, I didn't pay, he didn't collect money from me to go there. He collected money for Okrika. I said, okay, what's the extra cost to take me there and to Okrika? He says, sir, he won't collect. He's not going there. So a little bit further, I said, stop. He stopped. I asked him, do you want to continue to live after today? He said, yes. I said, have you met me before? He said, no. I said, after today, you'll be a dead man if you don't take me there. The only reason why you will be alive after today is if you take me there. I guarantee you, nothing will happen to you, but don't refuse to go there. And today will be your last day on earth. He said, okay, what do you do me now? I said, shh. And I said to him, it's your choice, your life, or you take me there. Don't you ever think, before even you get to Okrika, you know, they will push this boat with your corpse inside. So the man began to shiver. I said, let's go there, take me to that same spot where they say if you get there you disappear, you will appear to where Satan is. So that's where I'm going, and you'll be safe. He began to sing one song. I don't know what the song means, but he changed it, and then we went to some place, and he said, okay, it's there. I said, let's go there, let's go there, let's go there. And he sang that song loud and loud and loud over there. And I said to him, haven't you got to be? He said, Organa, this place, nobody they come here. So I said, well, Satan, did you go on vacation? Because I came today to prove a point that you can't continue to hold Okrika in bondage. And if you won't open your gate and let me see you, you are bold enough to meet me, then your terror over that land is finished. We hovered around that place. Ask him, move round, move round. Maybe you haven't hit the right corner of the gate. We moved around. By the time I'm talking, the man was sweating like Christmas goat. We moved round. And I said, now you go ahead to Okrika. I'll pay you extra for coming here. He said, no, I'm not going to collect money. Just go. He took me to Okrika. I entered into Okrika. And then after a while, my people arrived. I asked them to go to the four corners of the field that is at the Anglican church, near the Anglican cathedral. I told them what to do. I told them, in your direction, we're going to raise altar at this field until the end of Okrika. Wherever any altar exists, let that altar be demolished by this altar. I raised that altar, stood at the center of the field. They stayed at the four corners, facing every direction, projecting that altar all through Okrika. After that, I had a crusade with all the churches. It was beautiful. I left. Shortly, a few weeks after, they had a quarrel with Eleme, and they picked up weapons to fight. Normally, there's a shrine where they go after they've gone through the rituals. If you cut them with machete, it will not hurt them. If you shoot them with gun, it will not hurt them. They went through the rituals and nothing happened. It didn't work. So they were afraid because they knew it was a risky thing going to face Eleme people without the protection of those demons that have kept them over the years. And so they went to the elders and said, there's trouble. None of the things that worked before is working anymore. The elders says, well, they should bring sacrifice of all sorts. And they did. Nothing worked. So the elders said, well, it could be the spirits left for whatever reason. And they should go to somewhere around Bonny. They told them somewhere in Bonny where they invoked the spirit from the water to Eleme. Now, that proves a case that wherever they tell you there's a spirit, that spirit is not a native of that place. That spirit was invited from somewhere to that other place. You are the rightful owners of the land. The spirits are not natives in any place. So they had to go to that place to present cows, sacrifices to the demons in the deep sea, Atlantic Ocean. And then they took their elders, and the spirit asked them, where were they when Mosy Madugba came and asked them to leave the town? They returned to Okrika. This is a true story. And the town crier went around and said, Mosy Madugba is banned from coming to Okrika from now onwards. But they brought the spirit back after I left. The churches had to go to court, for the court to rule that I am free to visit Okrika. What am I saying? They went to this shrine where they normally meet with demons and spirits, and they didn't find them because the altars have been destroyed. And so when you destroy the altars, you close the gates and the doors through which these demons enter your communities to do havoc. That was why one time I just got mad in this state, and I took many people, some of you are here, and we went from village to village and pulling these things down and destroying them to reduce the activity of witchcraft and wickedness in the state. And that's why I'm very uncomfortable with anybody who will allow Satan send him to come here. And if you go back normal, then they will think you succeeded. So either you get saved, or I send you back in a shape that will know you jammed rock. So there are spiritual gates like that. Okay, let's go as fast, because I'm talking about the battles at the gates. Talking about powers at the gate. At the gate, you are able to do a lot of things. Nehemiah 7:1-3, Psalm 118:19-20, Isaiah 26:2. You are able to control and manage the invasion of the enemy. You can stop the enemy from invading your community, invading your family, invading your city, invading your country at the gates. Again, remember, these gates are many. We have the political gate, we have the spiritual gate, we have other gates. Number 2, Nehemiah enforced the laws of God, chapter 13 verse 19-22, at the gates. Number 3, we are told that you can negotiate the destinies. Your children can go there and talk the enemies at the gates and negotiate the destinies of the family, of their community. Number 4, Daniel chapter 2 verse 49. The king desired to promote Daniel away from the gate. He said, "No, sir. I recommend you make Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, appoint them governors of the provinces, but leave me at the gate, where I can oversee and protect the destiny and well-being of the Jews in Babylon." From the gate, you can oversee and protect the destinies of your people in a foreign land. Look at Esther and Mordecai. When you read your Bible and you were told that Mordecai met his enemy at the gate, it was not a security checkpoint. It was in the Senate. It was where the elders met. Mordecai was a political representative of the Jews in the cabinet. He represented his own region there. But then in the ranking in the house, the man that wanted the head of the Jews was his superior. And there was a kind of greeting that the Jews will only give to God, that people give to the man. And he felt insulted that a Jew will not greet him like that. And Mordecai explained to him, "I am a Jew, and it's only God who received that kind of greeting, like a worship." And the man felt like killing him and killing all the Jews who would not worship him. He didn't tell the king. He tried to hide it with lies, with manipulation. And then, of course, he got the king to make a decree and to publish it. And they gave a date when the Jews will be destroyed. But what the man didn't know was that there are two powerful people at the gate. Mordecai was at the gate. Esther was at the gate. And at the place where Esther was a more advantageous position at the gate than himself. And he couldn't succeed to destroy the Jews. Because when Mordecai told Esther, Esther rose up and used her power at the gate to stop him. What if there was nobody at that gate who could do that? Both Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and Daniel were prisoners of war in Babylon. They were not indigenous or natives. But because the gifts of Daniel made the way for him, he was at the gate there negotiating power for his brothers. He petitioned to the king, said, "Make Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, make them governors of the provinces." And there was no interview. They were made governors. Power at the gate. And so while others are struggling to make progress and have access, some people are inside. determining the destiny of others. And that's why the wicked should not be allowed to have access to the gates. Stop them from rigging you out. Many times they rig the elections and they put themselves in the gate. Stop them by all means, because when they get there, there's power at the gate. Strong power. I met a head of state before he was made a head of state, and I told him what the Lord said. After he became head of state, sworn in, I used my money to fly to Germany to return Bonke back to Nigeria to go and dedicate him at my own cost. I went back to tell him, God will want you to get Matthew Kereku of Benin Republic, and then get the Zambian president, I've forgotten his name, Cheluba, to come together, three of you. There's a conspiracy to take away Christians from the first position of being president in the whole of Africa. Let three of you pray and agree, and God will use two of you to recover lost positions in the nations. God will help you mentor younger people who can take over from you. You know what he told me? That the challenges he has made since he came into the office are more than what he anticipated before he came into the office. So he will not have the chance to invite two heads of state to come in just for prayers and spiritual strategization. And I said to him, please don't send for me any day for anything. I will not come again. You're on your own. Meanwhile, I had gone to Zambia to convince Chiluba to come. He was ready to come. I had requested by the UmaUkpai to go to the Republic and convince Matthew Kereku, who was a member of the Foursquare Church, and was willing to come. The man in Zambia had just declared Zambia a Christian nation. The whole world was celebrating it, but he didn't have a mentor. He didn't have somebody to coach him. And I had talked to somebody whom they look up to as their big brother. He wasn't interested. Eventually, the man in Benin Republic handed over to a voodoo priest. The man in Zambia finished and then came to Lagos to one juju priest to be his mentor. And that was the end of all of them. They were willing to come, but the gate in Nigeria did not open for them. That gate is an individual. So many times God will send you to a place or want you to do something, and then there is a human gate that you are supposed to pass through, and that gate calls himself Agadaba Chiruzo and refuses to give you access. I stand on this altar today to decree, anyone anywhere who has constituted himself an obstacle and hindrance and has said over his dead body, will you get what belongs to you? Will you get your promotion? Will you have access to the hidden treasures of God? I command that gate to be uprooted. At 12 midnight at Gaza, Samson came to the gate. Power came on him. He laid hold of the pillars and he uprooted them. This morning, I lay hold on that pillar at that gate that has resisted you, that has caused you to stagnate, that has hindered you, and I command that gate, be thou uprooted. When you look at Isaiah 28 verse 5 to 6, that was number 5 expression of power at the gate. God says, in that day when the battle becomes severe, I will give strength to those who take the battles to the gate. Today we are challenged by spiritual gates called altars. We are challenged by the invasion and the usurping of our rights at the political gates. Today, the Christians are denied access to top economic gates. Today, the political leaders who are from the other side have refused to allow genuine Christians to have access to these military gates, to the social gate, to the media gates. But the Lord says, in that day when the church will decide to go to fight, he will give strength to those who take the battle to the gates. Ancient of days, there are sons and daughters here who are willing to take the battle to the gates. I command that the strength you promised be given to them now. Thou strength of God, thou power of God, thou promised grace of God, come down and rest upon us now in the name of Jesus Christ. The battles at the gates are severe. And that's why they kill people. That's why they assassinate people. That's why the enemy is aggressive. Aggressive. Why do they have to kill? Why do they fight? Why do they carry guns? Because they want access to the gate. People have lost their lives at the very verge of their breakthroughs. The enemy was afraid that they were getting access to the gates, because that's where the power is. That's where the power is. And therefore this day, the Lord of hosts, Jehovah Sabaoth, the man of war, will cause the Lion of the tribe of Judah, will cause his warring grace to rest upon everyone in this meeting. Because we are going back to the gates. You were afraid to go to contest for certain positions. Some said, I want appointment, I don't want to contest. Why? Because you are afraid of their guns, of their abracadabra, of their noise. Hey, remember Goliath? Nobody could talk to him, and he challenged Israel. If you think you are a nation, give me a man. One man. And God decided to insult his pride and brought a small boy. If he had seen a man, he would have been happy he was beaten by a fellow man. But God sent a boy, and he was very angry. He said, am I a dog? What do you think I am? Is there no more human beings in your country that they sent this ruddy boy to die in my hand? He didn't know that God wanted to humiliate him. Final. You see, that pillar, that political, economic, whatever pillar that has been imposing, that Okolosus, intimidating everybody, their season have expired. If you don't look well, you won't see. Because even King Saul himself could not see. All of them were running away. For more than 1 month, this expired man was insulting all of them until the correct young boy showed up. He said to them, you come to me with your sword, but I come against you in the name of the God of Israel.